Okay, thanks everyone. I really loved the depth of that discussion, the science that was in there. I mean, Nubar was saying ideas I've never heard before, and I'm also a big chess fan. So anyway, welcome. Thank you all, and thanks to our partners. My name is Greg Wong. I'm the business editor at The Globe. And one of the things we're doing today is celebrating our annual list of the top 50 plus innovators, tech power players, what we call them. And these are the decision makers, the most influential and most interesting people across technology in New England. So I'm really honored to be joined by 3 of the tech power players on our list. And we have a lot of new players this year, but these 3 are not new. They're stalwarts. They've been on the list pretty much every year that we've done it. This is our 4th year. And I'm going to have each of them introduce themselves. And first of all, I just have to say, you have to forgive me for ChatGPT's been down all morning, so I'm going to have to make up all my questions myself. But I think these guys can handle it. But without further ado, I'm just going to, before we dive in, if you could each just quickly introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Very happy and honored to be here. I'm Daniela Rus. I'm the director of MIT's Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence Laboratory, and also co-founder of Liquid AI and 4 other companies.
Hello, everybody. I'm Eric Paley. I'm a co-founder of a fund called Founder Collective. It's a seed stage venture capital fund with the mission to be the most aligned fund for founders at the seed stage. We invest across all kinds of sectors, but mostly software-enabled technologies.
Hi, everyone. Jeff Busgang. I'm co-founder and general partner at Flybridge Capital. We're a seed stage fund. Our mission is to be this much more aligned than Eric's fund with founders.
And that's good for everybody.
And I also teach entrepreneurship and venture capital at Harvard Business School.
All right, thank you so much. We're gonna dive into topics like AI, like investing, like startups. But first, I want to start with the moment that we're in right now. Okay, so as of 5 years ago, we made it through a global pandemic. Largely, the entire economy shut down for a bit. We bounced back, largely because of the innovation sector here in Massachusetts and in New England. But right now, we're faced with all kinds of new challenges. Policy issues out of DC, so forth, threats to funding. And I just wanted to start because Jeff, actually, we quoted him in a recent story in The Globe where we were trying to understand what are all the ripple effects on the New England economy right now, coming out of DC largely. And Jeff's quote, I hope I get it right, is that you said that the Commonwealth's business model is at risk. Again, so our business model as an entire community is at risk. And I just wanted to ask Jeff, can you just talk about what you mean by that?
Yeah, and I hate to start off on such a downer note, Greg. ChatGPT is down and the Commonwealth's business model is at risk. It's like a apocalyptic moment, as Eric just said. But the situation is pretty dire, and we've got a lot of red blinking lights. My analog is to harken back to Paul Revere, 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. We're being attacked by sea and by land. By sea, we are seeing the cutoff of international students to be a huge risk to the Commonwealth's business model. People here know that half of all unicorn companies, that is companies worth over $1 billion in the private markets, were founded by international entrepreneurs. It's a huge part of the Commonwealth's strategy and success, and the curtailment is really dangerous for our community. And then by land, if you look at the industries that are under attack by the administration, the clean energy industry, the healthcare industry with the dramatic cuts in Medicare and Medicaid, and the biotech industry with the very difficult pricing pressures, those are the core industries that we have built our economy on. But then there's a third attack that's happening by air. And the third attack by air is happening to our brand and to our culture. We have a brand of being the magnetic community around the world where the best and the brightest want to send their children. I was talking to an investor of mine who's Greek. He lives in Geneva, and he was so thrilled to have his son apply to colleges in the Boston community. And Plan A was Tufts, and Plan B was Northeastern, and Plan C was BU. And he got into all 3. And this is a Greek EU citizen living in Switzerland, and right now the embassies are all closed, and he can't get his student visa, and he has no Plan D. So this attack on the brand of America and on the brand of Harvard and MIT and our most cherished institutions, this is the most pernicious of the attacks, and I think the most dangerous for the Boston and Commonwealth business model.
So, I mean, it's also, I mean, a great opportunity because you all, I mean, you solve problems and really, really big problems, and those of you in the room as well. Like, so I do want to focus a little bit on solutions, but maybe I'll just jump to Eric and like, what are you seeing that's new, and how are you approaching it?
Yeah, I mean, just to stay on Jeff's thread for a minute, I see every problem he's talking about. I am very concerned about all the problems he's talking about. I heard recently that Northeastern, very prestigious liberal arts school, typically yields 25% international students, and this year they had 8%. So those are really deep concerns, the defunding of all the research, there's a lot of real concerns out there. What I will say, and not to be Pollyanna about it, but I think it's Churchill's quote, right? Never let a good crisis go to waste. You know, I think of 2010, or 2009, 2010, the great financial crisis. It was still a time at which our industry was typically not very interested in funding very young entrepreneurs for a variety of reasons. And youth unemployment coming out of colleges was like 20% during the financial crisis. And we never had so many great young entrepreneurs start incredible companies in those subsequent years. I think of, obviously, the pandemic. I thought the economy was going to be a disaster. Innovation just kept going. So I think two things that are really important in this time, and not to be Pollyanna about it, because I do think it's going to be huge headwinds. One is we got to keep that innovation mindset really deep, and I think AI gives us whole new opportunities to think about it. Jeff just wrote a book on this, and Daniela obviously is a very, very deep expert on this topic. So I'm flanked by people who know way more about this than I do, but I think it's an enormous opportunity. I think the other thing is we are an incredibly competently run state for many, many, many years, and we have to lean into that competence and capability in a way that will help get us through this period. And I think that does mean everyone coming together and thinking about themselves as a member of this community and trying to contribute public-private partnerships. How do we all come together to make a difference in a time where, the federal government is definitely a massive headwind? So just a couple thoughts on where Jeff is. I think what's new and exciting, one is innovators don't stop. And I really see AI as a whole new generation of tooling. I see it a little differently than everyone else does. I don't think it's going to be the end of work for all of us. I don't think they're going to take over, or at least not in my lifetime. Danielle will tell us how afraid we should be or not. But I think it's an extraordinary and largely equally distributed set of new tooling that allows people to satisfy their customers, right? Create user experience for their customers in an entirely new way than they ever have. And I think mobile did that. I think the internet did that. AI may be a whole nother massive shift that's even bigger than both of those. But almost every company we're seeing right now, at some level, is being very sophisticated in how they're leveraging AI to rethink old or new businesses.
Well, Danielle, you run the biggest AI lab around, so your reactions to what you're hearing?
On this panel? Yeah, so look, I will just start by saying that we've been in tough places before, and we did just fine. I think we will find our way forward, which is not to say that there aren't challenges. But here in Massachusetts, we have the brightest young people who come here to study at all of our universities. We have so many great universities, we have so many great companies, we have so much interest from the local industry and from the local policy makers. And from the point of view of AI, this is the moment. This is really the time when work that our community has been investing for decades is coming to fruition, because we finally have solutions, we have computation, we have data that has the potential to bring value and benefit to everyone. And so I'm really excited about this moment in time as far as the AI potential for expanding the human potential. And like you said, we are creating extraordinary tools, and these tools can help us in many ways, can give us kind of superpowers in how we live, how we work, how we learn, how we play. And it's all new, it's all changing very fast. but we have huge opportunity ahead. And I like to think of every crisis as danger plus opportunity. It's important to understand the dangers and then focus on how to guide forward with strength and integrity and courage towards opportunities.
So in this year's Tech Power Players list, we segmented the AI people into foundational AI, which I think Daniela would fit into, and then AI applications, where both of you are seeing pretty much every company. I guess my question, maybe starting with Daniela, and we can keep this kind of brief because I want to move on to other topics, but does the Boston area, we see so much that's happening right now in other places, but are we competitive on both of those fronts? How do we win?
We graduate extraordinary talent. We train and graduate extraordinary talent. And what I see is really deep interest by our students in advancing the frontiers of knowledge, but then taking what they invent with this grand objective and making it valuable and relevant today. And so many of our students want to start companies, and we have already seen such a flurry, such a multitude of companies that were spun out of the Boston area universities and more generally the Boston area ecosystem. So more companies is better, and this is the moment for Boston to shine as the AI center of the country. That's my aspiration.
So when you look at companies to fund, right? What's most exciting on the AI? Or maybe they don't even call it AI, but what's like Eric and Jeff? What do you do?
Yeah. So just one thought off Daniela's comment that I thought was very interesting. I was chatting with Andrew Bilecki, who is the founder of Klaviyo, one of our really great, extraordinary outcomes here in Boston. And I was in a conversation, and somebody talked about how with AI, there just may not be a need anymore for young programmers, that an AI can perform as well as young programmers, so you really don't need it. And his response was, he kind of smiled, and he was like, I think there's a greater need for young programmers than we've ever seen, because these are the only ones who are fully native and actually understanding how to use these tools in order to build great new things. And so I don't mean this to be sort of an ageist set of questions. I think a lot of people think there's going to be like wild unemployment among the young graduates. And I just want to just say that I think Andrew's right. I actually think even if you think about you're hiring a new lab tech in your lab, they're going to understand how to use these tools to accelerate the work better than I will, because they've been at school using these tools to accelerate their learning, their understanding. And so I think, and that was, by the way, true of young people coming out of school with mobile, young people I was very lucky to come out of school right in the age of the internet, and that was a very, very powerful tool set that even people 10 years older than me did not have at the same level. So I think there's a lot of hope here, I think, in terms of opportunity set, that these are the folks that are going to drive innovation forward. I think it's hard for me to say in specific areas because we're seeing opportunity literally everywhere, right? And I think we're looking for a lot of places where there's some type of meaningful network effect, or there's some kind of real data moat, although I have a lot of questions about data moats. We could debate where those really exist. Or AI is getting access to some set of tools that are not just generalizably available to any AI, right? And when we see those types of things and it drives forward productivity massively, we see huge opportunity.
I just want to add something to what you said with respect to the young programmers. We actually need a pipeline to get to increasingly more experienced programmers. And if we don't have the young ones in the pipeline, what's going to happen in 5 years' time? So I'm very positive about the need to maintain a robust pipeline.
I'll throw a couple themes to add to the mix. Boston's very good at solving very hard problems, right? Like the toughest problems in the world come to Boston to solve because we have the smartest people in the world. And so AI software companies that are doing very hard things we think are quite compelling. So for example, Glimpse Engineering, which is a team that spun out of Tesla and moved from the West Coast to Boston to be here as an EV battery testing company, really exciting company in the exploding world of EV batteries. And then secondly, Blitzy AI, which is in the world of software code development using AI to generate code. They're focused on large legacy code bases, which is very complicated, millions of lines of code. Both of those companies have roots in the Harvard ecosystem. And then the second theme I'll mention is hybrid New York-Boston teams. So a lot of companies who want the R&D in Boston, but sales and marketing and commercial-facing teams in New York. And actually 2 founders from that are here today. Topline Pro, which is an incredible company focused on AI agents for service pros. So think your electrician, your plumber, your landscaper who wants an AI agent to help them with sales, marketing, service, back office operations while they're up on the roof fixing your shingles. They don't have time to be on their laptop. Topline Pro is an incredible company in that space. And Eric and Shannon, who are 2 of the leaders of that company here in Boston, leading the product team. The sales and marketing team is in New York. So taking advantage of that hybrid exposure we think is really quite exciting for us. And we have offices in New York and Boston. Founder Collective has offices in New York and Boston because we see those kinds of opportunities.
That's great. And just to flag, the next panel is going to be about workforce and talent issues, and I'm sure how it plays with AI is going to come up. I do have an audience question, which is good, as I was going to bring this up also. It has to do with competitiveness of our region in terms of innovation. Given the growth of China right now, and the explosive science, innovation, the workers, and then coupled with our challenges here, how do we see this playing out competitively between, really U.S., but let's specifically New England, with the rise of China, really for any of you?
Well, in AI, we are innovating extraordinarily, and we are inventing the next generation AI algorithms. We are going beyond what the world is doing right now, which is the transformer architectures. We are developing energy efficient AI. We are developing agentic AI solutions. We are looking at how AI can enhance our healthcare system so we can better diagnose, monitor, and treat disease. We are looking at how AI can help optimize our energy system and our infrastructure. We're doing a lot of innovation, and a lot of that innovation starts with ideas at the university that then have to be pushed out into startups. And so the challenge for us is to provide these startups with attractive opportunities within Massachusetts so that they do not up and move to California. And so that means ample VC backing. That also means ample computation and infrastructure, which is very much needed for any serious AI operation.
A quick question. Are you already seeing a decline in Chinese students and international among your grad students, or is that still coming like this summer?
Well, we haven't seen the newly admitted students, and for now, the work at MIT continues with everyone who is part of the MIT community.
I would just say that China's formidable. I don't think you can ignore what's happening there, particularly when it comes to AI related to the physical world. It is incredibly formidable, and a lot of it is centralized supported, and we are defunding on a centralized basis, on a federal basis, our research. So I think there will be a long-term cost to that. I think the great thing is we have a very innovative culture in our country. We have great research. We have great innovators. That's not going to go away, but I think it's a massive concern in terms of the dollars that are going into fundamental research and the risks of us falling behind.
Another question from the audience comes up pretty much.
I agree, by the way. I agree.
Sorry, Danielle.
Sorry.
No,
yeah, so no, I agree. This is something that we need to really keep in the backs of our minds, because innovation is really what ensures America's leadership on the global stage. And that means innovation in terms of inventing the future and pushing the frontiers of knowledge. But it also means innovation in terms of creating an ecosystem that is really attractive to the people who want to take their ideas and bring them to the world. And for that, I want to stress again how important it is that MIT sorry, not MIT, that Massachusetts is very focused on the infrastructure. We provide the AI startups we want to attract here.
And there's a huge initiative going on around that right now, and there's a lot, obviously execution is going to be key, for sure.
Well, this fits into actually the next audience question, which is, and maybe I'll throw this to Jeff. So what are the benefits of starting a company here versus Bay Area or somewhere else?
Well, I don't think the National Guard's going to show up anytime soon. Hopefully.
The Waymo cars will,
Hopefully.
though. But yeah.
We
won't
have
set
the
them on
lowest
fire.
crime
A little
rate.
too soon on that one.
Too soon?
Yeah.
Is that too soon? We have the lowest crime rate in America in terms of major cities, and we're a fantastic community, very aligned, and just a great place to raise a family. And these are choices that each of us on this panel made, you know, when we were early in our careers in the tech sector as entrepreneurs and as venture capitalists. Of course, the siren song of the Bay Area was very loud for all of us, and we all decided to build a life here and build a family here because we think this is the best place to do it. And you can build a great career here and build great companies here, as people have proven time and time again. So to me, it's a pretty easy sell. We just need to keep making the sale. Out of MIT, two of the last greatest companies in the AI ecosystem are Windsurf, and that company was just acquired by OpenAI for $4 billion. They're makers of Codium, which is this code generation tool, and then Anysphere, which makes Cursor, which was just valued at $10 billion. Those companies were founded by MIT graduates who, at age 21, picked up and left to the West Coast. And similar story over and over again that we've heard from other eras with Dropbox and Drew Houston and, of course, Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook. We just need to fight to keep these brilliant young professionals here every day.
So I will just say I completely agree, but I think we cannot keep the companies here by saying you will have a good lifestyle. The companies really need the economics to thrive. And in AI, that means funding, that means compute, and we need to really, well, the talent we already have.
Yeah.
And the students are already happy and excited to be here. And they will stay here if they have the economic circumstances to succeed. But if they don't, they will go to California because there is much more money in California.
And I want to just personalize this, right? I was drawn to here because of Harvard Business School. We founded a company that we spun out of MIT, so we had a natural reason to stay here. We were being drawn to the West Coast by a term sheet with a VC who couldn't imagine we could build this company successfully in Massachusetts. And Jeff funded us, and that's why we stayed, right? And so I think it takes a lot of pieces, right? It does really take a community of people. And here I am, right, 24 years later in Massachusetts, now actively investing in this community because of that chain of people and institutions that made that possible. Because I didn't have a family yet, and I wasn't so worried about that. But I was here because the economic opportunity and the support I got made that possible. And so I couldn't agree more with Daniela, and thank you, Jeff. But we do all as an ecosystem need to keep really grinding against making that a success, especially right now.
All right, so we're going to wrap up here, but I'm going to give you each 10 seconds for a lightning round. What are we talking about 1 year from now that's different from what we just did? I'll start with Jeff on the end.
1 year from now, we're talking about unemployment rates.
Being super high?
Yeah, not low.
Eric.
1 year from now, we're going to talk about how we're surprised that we're busier than ever, that AI was supposed to continuously free up our time to make us much more productive, and instead it's the exact opposite, as has been the truth of all technology, always.
Daniela, let's bring us home.
1 year from now, we will be talking about all the great new products that have been created by the AI community.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I just want to thank the panel. And
thank you.